Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Cal. Today, we are going to talk about getting some useful intelligence from your existing clients. And before we get started with that, I better turn my light on. Now you can see me. All right, before we get started, I want to remind you guys that I am broadcasting ideas every single day that you can use on your business. You can find them at my website, epicdesignlabs.com/COVID. And you'll see there's just video after video after video. There is no shortage of things that you guys can do right now to help your business. So I want to make sure that you don't feel like you're stuck waiting, because honestly, we may be stuck waiting forever and you may run out of time to wait. So, they say, when's the best time to plant a tree? 30 years ago or right now? Let's do stuff right now to make our businesses better. Whether or not we can get customers, we can at least strengthen our business and do things that make it easier to grow when the opportunity returns. If the opportunity isn't still there. For me and my business, there's lots of people needing what we do. So, we're okay. But, if you're a restaurant or something, I get it. There's no customers out there, but let's do stuff that can, make a long-term impact so that when things start coming back, we come back faster. All right. What are we talking about today? We're talking about getting useful intelligence from existing and prior clients. What does that mean, right? Well, getting a review is a good start, but, especially if you are selling something that costs a little bit more money, makes people think a little bit, it's really important to get things right, both your product, but also your process and your communication and just so many other things. And the way to know that if, where you're dropping the ball or where there's opportunities for improvement is literally just ask your clients. They've been through your process, unlike you, and they know where you drop the ball, potentially unlike you. They know what they would like you to do to improve things. And you know what? It would be great to know those things from their point of view. And a side effect of this is that if you go out there and ask some of your recent customers, about their experience, not only does that give you great intelligence as to what's going on and where your shortcomings are, and sometimes it's painful, but it also makes your customers feel important and heard. And so that can be great just for that reason alone. So reaching out and getting a review is great. And if you literally sell burgers, that's probably enough. But if you sell something bigger than burgers, if you sell something that's $100 or more, chances are it's going to take a little bit more than a whim to sell your product or service, right? And so getting it right is important, but also, maybe start thinking about building some case studies or examples that you can use to really, push future customers over the line into being customers, I guess is what I'm saying. So what am I saying? I'm saying let's build a form that you can send out today to some of your recent clients and just ask them to give you some feedback. Say, Mr. Customer, it was great working with you. I'd love it if you told me about the experience from your point of view so that I could learn how to do even better in the future. Something like that. Maybe that's a little wordy. If you could think about it. How do we do this? First of all, you need to come up with a series of questions. And then we need to actually make the form. So let's talk about questions real quick. The kind of questions that you want should be designed to not, just grab a kudo. It's great to grab kudos, something that you can use for a testimonial. But, on top of doing that, on top of getting something that's a positive statement that you can use to, in your marketing, I want you to really think about, what could I improve on? What are the components of an interaction with me or my business that potentially could be fantastic or terrible? Like, for example, if you have an amazing product but terrible communication, it doesn't matter how great your product is. You need to fix the communication. So in that situation, you would want to learn a little bit about quality levels in your product, which is probably going to be great unless you don't know something about your product, as well as quality levels in your communication. So you'd want to have at least two questions, right? I would say, also talking about the experience of purchasing, understanding why people chose you instead of somebody else. Super valuable, right? Maybe they chose you because you were the cheapest. And if you're trying to be the cheapest, terrific, you won. If you're not trying to be the cheapest and you have people telling you that they bought because you were the cheapest, maybe you shouldn't be as cheap. maybe you are unaware that you were the cheapest, or maybe people chose to buy from you because of an employee that works with you that was just amazing in the onboarding process or whatever. There can be so many reasons, and how great would it be to know what put people over the edge and made them buy from you. So I want you to think about your questions. How was the communication? How was the experience? How is the product? How was the service? How was the speed? How was the selection? That kind of stuff. And I don't want you to ask a million questions, but I want you to think about all those potential aspects that could go right or wrong, and try and design 3 to 5 questions that will illuminate problems, if there are some, within the process. So think about all these aspects of your business as links in a chain. You have the communication link, the process link, the product link, the after the sale link, or whatever. Think about what all those links are in the chain that have to go right for you to be an amazing, excellent business that people would brag about. And let's design these questions in order to illuminate where the weak spots are in the chain, right? And you can do this. I mean, I don't know your hypothetical business over this live stream, so I can't tell you exactly what would matter. But let me show you what questions we ask, and mine is more wordy than what I'm asking of you, because we sell pretty large projects, and the bigger the project, the more points of failure there could be. And so I think that the higher the ticket item is that you sell, potentially the more it's okay to ask more questions, right? So like if you're selling a car, you want to know, like, okay, how is the salesman? How is how's the engine sound? How does the inside feel? Is it roomy enough? What do your kids think? Did your wife like, all this stuff like can go into it, because there's all these potential failure points in more complicated and more expensive of a product. So if you're selling something between, $100 and $200, I would say, somewhere between 2 to 4 questions is probably a good amount. You just don't want to ask too much. And so if somebody hasn't invested much in you, then it makes it so that you can ask less. So if you're selling burgers, you're pretty much just asking, did we pass or fail? You can't really say, okay, well, let me ask you about the bathrooms and the quality of the meat and all that kind of stuff. So the more expensive your product is, the more questions I think you're okay to ask. And don't go crazy. Mine is probably on the long side of things, but I'm only sending these to people that do larger projects with us, so that we can ask them some in-depth questions. Now, before I show you this, I do want to show you that one form solution that you can use is called Typeform. It's very inexpensive. Let's see, here are the prices. That looks weird. It's 35 or 35. Okay, well, I don't know the exact prices. It's been a while since I signed up. But it's like 30 to 50 bucks, somewhere in there. And when you get in here, you can, let me show you this. You can build out your form. It is really easy to build forms in this, you guys. You literally just click new, and you can pick from, a featured form that they have built out already, or somewhere in here there's the ability to start from scratch right there in a big old button. And then when you come in here, it asks you to name your form and say client feedback. What are you creating? We're going to say, I think this is just for their purpose, like their internal purposes. We're going to say it's a feedback form and we're trying to improve our service. And then you come in here and it's like, okay, what's the first question? And you can come in here and, just type, pick a question type. You can do like open-ended questions or drop downs, or, multiple choice questions or whatever. So you can see it's really easy, and the reason I like Typeform is number one, it's really easy, and number two, they look really good. And you can put your logo in here at the top to make it look nice and branded. Okay, let me show you my form, and I'm going to show you like our exact questions. Let me delete that real quick so I don't leave a mess. Now, keep in mind this is for clients that are spending thousands of dollars. So I have quite a few questions, and we have these broken up into sections the way that we've implemented it, so that they come in chunks, and it doesn't feel like I'm hitting you with like 12 questions like all at once, because that's a lot to see. So right here, what were the 3 frustrations of your site prior to working with us, right? And the reason that we're asking this is we want to know how they felt before working with us, because later on we're going to ask them how they feel now, so that we can show, when we build a case study out of this, the transition from going from frustrated to happy, right? But we want to get in their words how they felt before working with us. And so this first section is just kind of, pre-sale kind of stuff. So what made you decide to take the action to solve this problem, right? Did you have any concerns when you were looking for a solution? So this is an open-ended question where they can say, yeah, I was concerned about finding somebody that knows the platform, or I was concerned about finding somebody that was too pricey, or that had poor communication, or that outsourced all their work. How did you hear about us? What qualities made you choose us? So, they're telling us, they're going to tell us right here why they bought from us, which tells us how to better market to the next guy. Would that be valuable? Yeah, right? The next section, we're asking, tell us about your experience. Did we meet or exceed your expectations? Were we easy to work with? This is a star chart, so it doesn't look, it's a little bit hard to understand from what you're seeing here, but we're giving them basically a couple choices to tell us kind of how we did on a scale, right? My goals were met, yes or no. And that's a gut check, because if somebody said no, it would break my heart. But if somebody says no, I should want to hear that, We leave an open-ended box here for comments. So, now that they've told us, what they were frustrated with and why they picked us and how it went, we're going to let them say anything they have on the top of their head. So if they left us good feedback, but they still triggered something in their mind going, this could be improved on, we're just going to leave them an open spot there where they can leave us some feedback. All right, here's where we ask some case study building questions. What do you love the most about your new website? So we give them a chance to brag about the thing that they like the most, and then that's going to become a featured item within the case study of them, where we can say, here's what we did, here's what stood out to the client. Tell us about the most positive experience you've had with your website. And so this lets them tell us if they've had some good feedback from their customers or employees or anything like that. Would you like to leave us a quote to use in our marketing materials? So here we're gathering a testimonial. And how would you rate your overall experience with us? And that's it. So this is probably a little bit more wordy than most of you should have. But again, we're selling multi-$1,000 websites, and so it makes sense to get into the details a little bit. But if you guys could just today come up with 2 to 5 questions that you think would be super valuable to eliminate any problems in your chain, and to maybe rack up some kudos that you could use on your website at the same time, this would be a huge win if you put this together and send it out to, say, 5 or 10 of your recent clients. You can build it on Typeform. It's nice and affordable, as you saw. I promise you don't have to have a developer to do it. There's zero code. When I built it, there's zero code. It's just drag and drop. So you could totally do it, and it's nice and affordable. So put together your questions, put together a form on Typeform or wherever. If you're familiar with something else, that's okay. And send it out to 10 people. This is probably more than half an hour today, but I promise you, if you get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 responses, it'll be hella worth it. All right, so that's your assignment for today. 2 to 5 questions. Put together a form, send it out to some people, and come back tomorrow for even more ideas. All right, I'll see you then.